What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonia Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going. What's up, babe?
What's up, yo?
And today, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know. We've kind of skipped that the last couple. You know, we get on a little roll and then we forget.
That's why I said nothing. I just let you get into it. So get into it. Hurry up.
Make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go there, you'll be able to see our social media. You can follow it there. You can watch the podcast there. You can listen to it there. And you can see ways that you can support the show. And we'll tell you more about that later. But wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, if you can subscribe, leave us a message, a comment, review, thumbs up, whatever, it all helps.
Yes, yes. Yes, sir. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that,
yeah, we'll talk about the rest of that stuff later.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah. It's just right.
Nice sweater.
Right, get to work. Yeah. You know?
Right.
It's one of my favorite. This is my favorite. You know what? In Arizona's freaking, the weather is crazy. Like one day it's freaking hot. Like it could be hot, like where your car, you get in it and it's like, it's still hot inside. And then the next day you're freaking freezing. Or it could just be between the afternoon and the morning.
Yeah. So one of Miguel's cousin moved here from where?
He's from New York.
Okay.
So where I just went on that trip to New York, his family, like they grew up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he just sent Miguel a text message yesterday because he just moved to Arizona from New York.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, your guys' weather is unpredictable.
Yeah, the temperature is crazy.
It is, but I love it. Like I was sharing with you, I am so grateful that I was born here in Arizona because we really don't deal with anything but the heat. You know, there's no tornadoes, there's no tsunamis, there's nothing crazy.
There's no hurricanes, earthquakes.
Right. It's like, hey, we're going to have a heat wave. Get in your house, stay in, you know, find some AC.
Yeah. And that's what it is in the summer. I mean, you're either in the shade and not for long. You're either in the car, in the house, in the shade.
Right.
Yep.
And not only that, but it's like if you want snow, you can drive 2 hours, not even an hour and
go to Flagstaff in a couple hours. Like we have days where we just go in that day for the snow. Like it's not snowing in Mesa and Phoenix where we're at. Right. And we drive 2 hours early in the morning, go sledding for the whole day, grab something to eat up there, and then just drive back. And that's just like a family day trip.
We're surrounded by lakes.
Yeah. And
then the beach isn't that far away.
All right, you're going to start bringing everybody to freaking Arizona.
And then Vegas, you know, if you want to party.
It's already we're getting all kinds of people moving to Arizona already.
But don't move here. No.
Yeah. It is nice.
It is.
It's pretty nice.
And we're so spoiled because where we live, we were talking about this the other day, because there's Fry's 2 minutes away. Like
the
seriously.
Supermarket.
I mean, everything is
You don't know where people are listening. They don't know what Fry's is.
Here. Oh, sorry.
They could be having Publix.
Oh, yeah. So our grocery store.
Yeah.
2 minutes away. I mean, we are so spoiled.
Like you could walk there.
Yes, that we don't have to deal with traffic because the traffic here is crazy because so many people have moved here. So they're building, you know, freeways, highways, all that stuff. But you and I really don't experience the craziness unless we have to go visit family or there's something that we have to do in the city, you know, so we're really spoiled. And when we do have to drive, we're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the cool thing. It's like, we're all like on the outskirts of the city, but it's still close enough to where we have everything that we want. And it's so close, like you said. And I was just talking, and not only that, but the neighborhoods now, like the neighborhood that we live in is also like we've talked about on here. Sometimes it feels like a fairy tale.
Right.
It's weird.
Well,
it's not weird.
It's amazing. But
you have to,
it's great.
You really, like you always talk about, you have to be present because you don't want to take this stuff for granted. Like just yesterday, I was picking up Audrey. She went to go visit a friend for their birthday. And when we were on our way back, was it that? Or maybe we were going somewhere and coming back. And it was in the evening. No, but the thing is that it was in the evening and the lights were still on from Halloween. Like the neighborhood is still nice, you know, like, and I'm just like, you have to appreciate this. Like, it's just, you know what I mean?
think too that we appreciate it even more so because of where we lived before
And where we came
in
from.
that neighborhood and where we came from.
Yeah.
Because
That's true
if
too.
this is, because think about it, if you grew up in this environment, this is the norm. Because there are people that have lived in this neighborhood for that long, and their children are like, this is the norm. And it's so easy to take that for granted when you are from, like, this is all you know,
So it's
and you
kinda
don't
like-
know any different.
So it's kind of like we're
Right?
trying to get the kids to hang on to a little bit of like that, like the appreciation. Like this isn't normal. This isn't like everyday life for everybody.
Right.
You know,
Right.
where like you're saying, if you grew up like this, like
It's like-
there's some people that like there's people that I know that grew up in this neighborhood.
Right.
You know, and they're adults now.
Yeah.
Like that's what they've known.
Right. And they know no different.
And
But it's-
hopefully, like, you know, and you can still teach appreciation through other ways, even if you grow up here, but you have to be conscious of it.
Right. I think that's why it's so important to, and we do, like, talk to the kids about, like how we grew up and where they are today and the difference between the two, and taking them, when we haven't did this in a while, but when we go and we feed the homeless and getting them to realize that
it's not
where
not all
they're
like
at,
this.
right?
Yeah.
And
Especially
I think
when you
that's
live
where gratitude
in this
comes
neighborhood.
from.
It's freaking crazy.
So, you and I have some deep
That was so deep.
moments or conversations where we're just in awe, right?
Yeah.
The Halloween night it was the day before
The day
Halloween.
before.
And our neighborhood has been hot because it was recognized on the news because of the decorations and,
Yeah, we
just
talked
our
about it last
neighborhood and
week,
all
like
good
that
stuff. But
the neighborhood came out on
being
the
out
news.
in the front yard and just sitting in the lawn
It was a
and
traffic jam.
taking in the moment of, just being where we are.
Yeah. And then, so, and that's one thing that I wanted to kind of get into also is Halloween in the neighborhood, like what it was like. Because like you said, the night before, it wasn't even Halloween yet, but because we came out on the news, it was a traffic jam on the street.
Well, our neighbors, because we had club that weekend, I believe, but they said that was happening on Friday. Like Friday, Saturday,
Yes.
and Sunday was that way.
Yeah, because we had softball Thursday night, so it's like we're still going and coming places into the evening. Like the softball nights, we don't get home till almost 9, right? And then Friday, I think we also we had jujitsu last week, so we were busy. So it was like we're coming home doing our thing, and then all of a sudden it's a traffic jam outside.
Right. Right.
And we had noticed that it had been happening the nights before. And then Halloween was it was like a block party out here.
It really, really was. It was so fun. There were so many unfamiliar faces. We knew, like, okay, the people that are here are not from our
here.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then I went onto our group page for the
neighborhood.
development,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, it's like crickets here. It's like crickets. Where are
Everybody
all
was on our blog.
trick-or-treaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what happened, it was so cool. So I was at one of our neighbors' house and we were drinking and they were feeding everybody.
Dude,
actually.
they had one of the guys had a hot dog cart, like one of the main houses. He had his hot dog cart. Like you could leave donations and stuff like
Yes.
that. But he had beer, hot dogs, like
Yes.
tables where you could sit down. There was a place where you could watch movies next door. Then you
Mm-hmm.
had the other big house. The other big one, she had it set up where you could take pictures in front of her house.
Yes.
It was really cool.
So
Sorry, babe. Damn it. I was just trying to add to, like, to explain how nice it was out here. Bad podcaster.
anyway, it was just really, really cool. But we were, just talking about, like, all the neighbors were just together. Like, we all come together and we were just looking around and, it's like, this is what we did.
Yeah, you
as
were
a
saying you were
community. Like, this is what we did.
You were saying you were at one of the neighbors, maybe where the hot dogs were? I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to talk about
Damn it.
something with Alan. I just know our neighbors.
There you go.
out there. Yeah, I forgot, but it was really cool, and the kids were so excited as well. And it was the first night because there were so many people around. Oh, that's what I was gonna tell you. So while I'm sitting there and we're giving out candy and everything, there were neighbors from other neighborhoods within our development donating candy.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, because they knew that our block was running out of candy because there were so many people there.
Yes.
Yeah. So they had kids that were coming with candy.
Yeah, and adults, like the adults, the parents were like, "Here you go."
Yeah, it was cool.
It was it was cool because the community, came together.
Yeah.
And so everyone was like, "Well, hey, if you guys want to join us, bring your candy and we could all just sit out, for next year." Because everybody was stuck with a whole bunch of candy. Like they were giving fistfuls over here.
Right.
On the other blocks because everybody was
they
just
weren't getting that many people
in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, where are you going to go if you can get the candy and don't have to make dinner because we're feeding everyone.
Yeah,
it's family.
Yeah, it was fun.
So it was a really cool experience, and I know that our kids are going to remember this for a lifetime.
Yeah, and they had friends of theirs that came over.
Yes. That's what I was going to share. Yes.
And they also get to see, like our kids got to see because we go and drop the kids off or whatever, but they see the different neighborhoods and it's not everywhere is not like here.
When we first bought this home, we were looking for months. We were driving our real estate agent nuts, but it's because we were looking for a good business investment. We were not looking for a dream home.
Yeah.
And before we started looking, we had certain criteria that we were following. And so it took her showing us, I kid you guys not, it was like 3 months or more. She said she showed us over 100 homes.
She said that I don't think she's shown anybody as many homes as she showed us.
Right. And so I remember the day when we saw this house on Zillow. It's like I was sending her the link and she was sending me the link at the same time.
Yeah.
Because the home that we were in or that we're in now was a short sale.
And if you guys have ever bought a home, like, you know what it's like. Like you're checking all the apps especially when a market is hot. And our market here in Arizona has been hot like for a long time.
We bought this house in 2018.
But I think that's when it started really picking up again, right? It was 2017.
Something like that. Okay.
So, but you know what it's like? It's like we're checking all the apps for the updates as soon as a house goes on the market. So I think what it was is like I had refreshed something and it's like, oh shit, look at this house.
Right.
And at the same time, I have an email waiting for me in my inbox that has the house on it. And it's like, what about this one? And then it's like the email, oh shit, that's the house. And we didn't even come look at it.
No.
Because we saw just from the numbers and the pictures, and we knew the area that it was in.
Yes.
And we had been looking at houses in this area.
Mm-hmm. So that day, I remember you had to work, but you asked me to come see the house.
Yeah. We put in an offer that night just from the email.
And I remember prior to that, I had made a decision that we were going to go trick-or-treating in different developments to decide which development we were going to move into. Remember?
Yeah.
We went Augusta Ranch, Santa Rita Ranch, Mesquite Canyon.
We were in all these neighborhoods trick-or-treating.
And when this house came up, we were already somewhat familiar with the area. And I came out to check out the house. And I knew when I came to see the house that this was our house. Like, and you know that. Like, I knew it. Like, I'm like, God's like, this is your home.
Yeah.
Like, this is your home.
And we had been in homes exactly like this.
Yes. And I remember it was during when school got out and the bus came and was dropping off all the kids at the park right across from us.
That's when you were checking it out?
Yes. And I got to meet all the parents that were there picking up their kids. And then I remember her kind of telling us, one of the ladies kind of telling me, the home next door, just to give you a heads up, the home next door is a group home for girls.
Yeah.
And she thought that I was going to frown upon that. And instead, I was so excited.
Yeah.
Because my passion was working with, like the foster industry, or that's something that I've always felt.
Yeah.
I've had a soft heart for. So when she told me that, I was like, oh yeah, this is our home. Like this is it. And I knew it without a doubt. And I remember our real estate agent just telling us, Sonja, it's just short sale. Don't get your hopes up too high. Yeah. And I'm like, Leela, you don't understand. God told me this is our house. And this is I knew without a doubt.
Let's talk about this for a second though, because we do some things like just from what you were talking about, we got to get back into the neighborhood and what's happening with the lights for Christmas, because I wanted to kind of talk about that, because you were saying something about how we came out on this ranking in a magazine, right?
Right.
Or it's like a listing somewhere online or whatever, but I guess it comes out on TV, and then maybe this neighborhood, if we kind of all get on it, like I think this is our first year being nominated or something. Anyway, but we'll get into that. So you were talking about like the decision to buy this house, how they show, like our real estate agent showed us so many houses, and it was because there was a miscommunication. Because for most people, when they buy a house, doesn't matter what the market's doing. If they fall in love with the house, and they can afford the monthly payment, they'll sign the paperwork and that's it.
Right.
But we knew, like, once we started looking at a bunch of houses, we started looking at the numbers, and it's like, okay, we want to get a better deal on this house because we can see what's been happening or whatever. Like, our emotions were more taken out of the decision of buying the house, because that's why we got so excited. We put the offer in, like we said, before we ever stepped on the house. The night before, while we were laying in bed, we're like, put in an offer on this house. And even the offer that we put in wasn't a regular offer, because that's not how we do shit. It's like we're always kind of thinking about the best way to do something.
Yeah. Yes.
Because the offer that we, like, most people will be like, oh, it's a short sale or whatever. Well, maybe you should offer a little bit more at that time, right? So it's $245 or whatever we bought the house for. But it's like, okay, a bunch of people are going to put in an offer at that. So you want to put in at put 10,000 more or whatever. But we, on top of that, put a clause in that we'll pay as much as high as we want it to go to, but in $1,000 increments, and we'll beat out anybody up to this point.
Well, that money was going to go into the seller's pocket.
Yeah, but and that's the other thing, is that we worked out a thing where we would pay them like $1,000 for their shitty little lawnmower that they left.
Yeah,
it's just an incentive
that were not attached to the home,
so that we could get the deal on this house.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, there wasn't a lot of emotion in the deal, because that's kind of how we do shit. You know what I mean? And it's helped us. And when it comes to cars, houses, like shit like that, it's not just about can you afford the payment. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of thinking logically.
I wonder if that comes from us growing up with not much, that we just, or because that's more like a business mindset. It's always business. Like, we're not going to buy this car because we love it. We're buying this car because it's a great deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's always helped us.
Maybe it's just us having that entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah. And it's taking the emotion out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, when most people buy, they're emotional buyers. And then they have that, what is it called? Remorse? Buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
After the fact. I don't think we've ever gone through that.
Yeah. Well, we got the Jag. When I tricked you into buying the Jag.
Oh, that was you.
That was
all you. Oh, you better have had freaking buyer's
When we first got together, we had Sonja had a Maxima. We fucking
nice Maxima.
It was a nice Maxima. It was like at that. It probably needed a little bit.
With it.
It was starting to need a little bit of stuff done to it, but it didn't really need much. And we fucking traded it in for the
Miguel sucker me into getting this beautiful Jag.
And fucking hell. I've talked about it. I think
he learned his lesson.
A Jaguar technician.
Mechanic, yeah.
I ordered their manual, and I started replacing air shocks on that car.
For real.
And that's how it's always been. Fucking figure it out.
Right.
Fucking figure it out. I've learned so much shit on YouTube, and it's just like, I'll figure it out. I'll do it.
Right.
I fix our fridges.
You do.
I fucking replaced the water heater in the other house. I ripped that bitch out by myself and put the new one in, soldered the pipes together, all that shit. I'm like,
and here I was nervous about marrying a New Yorker because I'm like, this dude's never.
You know what I'm nervous
house,
about is turning the water
work.
back on and turning the electricity back on. I was like, these fucking sparks are gonna come flying out this because the whole time I'm working on shit, this is me. I got my fucking phone right here. It's like, all right, this motherfucker's doing it like that. All right, that's how I'm gonna do it. Then you go to plug shit back in. You're like, oh shit.
Do you remember that? Like I'm like, man, I don't know how handy this dude's gonna be.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like everything. The podcast, the software, everything looks like it's a different language.
Right.
But you'll fucking figure it out eventually. And that's something that is pretty cool. Like when you really look at it, there's a lot of different shit that you can look at. It's like I didn't know anything about that at one point.
And that's where growth comes into play. Like just know, when you look back and you think about everything that you've been able to do.
Yeah.
And things that you've accomplished. Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. Like
and
me learning the podcast, like how to edit.
Right. You're going through it.
And I didn't think I was going to be able to do any of that shit.
This podcast that you guys are listening to right now, the whole thing is most likely going to be done by Sonja. All of it. Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way. Because I would watch you and I'm like,
that's a lot of shit.
That's complicated. Like, that's complicated.
And it was. Because before it's cool. And you've done things that you start from the beginning, like the business. When you started in Legal Shield, Trust Inc., all the stuff that you've done with that. But when you start something like the podcast, I mean, it's starting from nothing.
That's way different. That's
because,
like way out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. I mean, and
I can sell some shit.
I remember.
I can put a business together.
Yeah. I remember when I was like opening up the software for some of this shit. And I'm just like, man.
I don't believe how much you had to learn.
Not only that, but before I even started using the professional software, I was making it happen with the bullshit software that came on the computer. It wasn't like I was going to make an excuse like, well, I don't know how to use that professional software, so I'm just not going to do it. I made the fucking Microsoft Photos program work for like the first almost 100 episodes.
Man.
Like I just figured that out. And I was like, okay, I can do this well enough to make it at least, Where does that come from? Does that come from just being curious? Where does that come from? Like wanting to learn new things, like going through that entire process, because most people go to school to learn the things that you've learned in order to throw out a podcast that sounds good and looks good. Like everyone has told me that listens to our podcast that it sounds like it's a professional podcast. Yeah. The sound is great. It looks great. Yeah.
All of that. Most people pay someone to do it, to take care of that part of the podcast. But you decided to figure that out.
I don't know if there's two things where it's just a willingness to just like figure it out. It's like, well, like there isn't really much that I don't think that I can't figure out. Like there's times that I have to kind of, I think we've talked about it, or we've been listening to a lot of stuff about this recently. It's like the limits that we put on ourselves. Even like still, I fucking see some things and I'm like, yeah, I don't know how I can't do that. Why the fuck not? When you really look at it, it's like, yeah, like you said, I've talked about it last week too. Some of the, like going to MIT and getting that class. Now that I think about it, it wasn't that fucking hard. It really wasn't. I fucking destroyed that class, if you remember.
No, I do. Yeah, I remember.
To go to a fucking school like that yes, it's not a fucking degree. I wasn't on campus taking classes like fucking what is it, Goodwill Hunting, you know? Fucking writing out problems. I'm not like mopping floors and shit. I'm taking an online class, but still it is MIT. And I fucking destroyed it. I think I ended up with like if I remember right, I don't know. It could have been a 98 that my average at the end of the class.
It was up there.
But I know it was over 90. Could have been 93. Might have been 98. Something like that. But why the fuck not?
So we have talked about this, but in your younger years, you were not a very good student. How were you? Because you pretty much, what does that mean? What is not a good student?
I never really focused. Yeah. I was lazy. I just didn't want to I didn't feel like doing the work. I was never really focused. I was never focused enough to like really put shit together. You know? Like I would fucking hear stuff in passing, but really it was like if I wasn't interested in it, I wasn't gonna like really sit and pay attention. It was only when I wanted to that I did good.
But when I think about that, that's with...
It's weird because I did have certain stretches or whatever that I did okay. But when I really decide, like it was my 2 last years of school. It was my junior and my senior year.
But what changed?
Me. Part of it was I had a long history of just not giving a fuck, you know, and not really doing well. I was always I would do just enough at the very end to get through the grade every fucking year. I fucking bullshitted the entire time. And at the very end, it was like, what can I do to pass this grade? Or maybe it was my dad. Maybe my dad's like that. And he would just wait until the very end of the year and ask my teacher, like, what does he have to do? And then we would just bang it. I have no idea. I don't want to put that on my dad, but I know I'm like that. So, you know, that's what I remember that almost every single year. And then I would have like just fucking 2 weeks or a week and a half of just fucking sitting at the table, fucking writing shit down, making up reports and fucking turning all my shit in. And then I get my little fucking cap and I get to take a picture. Or here's your certificate onto your next class, you know, every year. But it wasn't until, like I said, my last 2 years of high school where, I decided, I was like, I want to do good, or I want to pay attention in this class. And then I started learning some stuff.
But did it have to do with your associations as well? Like,
yeah, maybe. Well, I've talked about this on here too, and it's been a long time. But when I moved to Florida, I did have a different, my cousin was one of my biggest associations, and he always did well in school because his focus was getting a scholarship. So my last year, which was my best year, I lived with him. And I think for the both of us, I kind of maybe loosened him up a little bit because I was always down to party and have a good time and maybe get into some trouble. And he was always in the books, you know? So my grades, like one of my goals in my senior year was to get a semester with straight A's, like nothing, like everything, all A's. And I ended up doing it my senior year. I think my whole year, it was all A's and B's. And I think 1 or 2 of the semesters, it was all A's. And I just wanted to fucking show everybody that I could do it. You know? More, not everybody, but really more to myself. Because I knew, like inside, I knew I could do it. You know? I just knew that I didn't care. I was like, whatever. And part of it too was that I knew that I wanted to go to the military. You know what? Ever since I was a little kid, I always liked that shit. I always thought it was cool, like the fucking face paint and the uniform and the guns and all that stuff. And then eventually I got into airplanes and I was like, that shit's cool too, you know, and it's all part of the same stuff, you know? So at that, I don't know if maybe at a certain point, like I knew I just got to get out of fucking high school. If I get that diploma, I'll take that test. And if that test says that I could do that, that's all that matters. You know?
So because I've been listening to David Goggins.
Yeah.
You Can't Hurt Me. And this is not an audio book that I would have chose. But Miguel, he has it in there, and he, would tell me, hey, you should listen to this book. But he's very rigid and he has a very colorful way of saying things, right? Every other word is a F-bomb, and it's just very
And he's
rigid.
not nice to himself.
Yeah, it's not the type of book that I would listen to. And so when I'm listening to you, I hear a little bit of him as well, and the way he was with himself and the way you are with yourself.
Yeah.
And even though you didn't do your best, in elementary school, right, through junior high.
Yeah.
When you made a decision that
I guess I've always been that way.
That you were going to, graduate and give it your all, you gave it your all, and you did it.
Yeah.
And I think that's with everything in life. It's when we finally get sick and tired of being sick and tired and make a decision.
Yeah.
And you make the decision to do the thing that you need to do in order to get what it is that you want in life. And it all starts with making a decision. And what is so huge about that in itself is that when you make that decision, you're going to start to realize how much your associations play a role in your decisions that you make from your past decisions. And you start to recognize your associations matter. They're going to make you or they're going to break you. And for me, when I became an entrepreneur and I started to do things differently and I started to see things differently, disassociating with those people that were not helping me get to where I needed to be was the hardest thing for me. And it's not even so much like disassociating 100%. It's like you got to know.
Yeah.
You got to know whether this person is there to help you or there to hurt you. I mean, not
hurt, but it doesn't add
not
to
hurt you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, some relationships.
You just got to limit the time.
You have to know what you're going into.
Right.
You have to know what you're going into. Some relationships, it's like you're bracing. It's like because some relationships you have to.
Right.
It's like, well, this is my so-and-so, my whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to just disconnect.
Yes.
But you brace for whatever that is. But because maybe you have to limit. I don't know. But there's some relationships that you have to stay connected to because those are the ones that pour into where you're trying to go.
Right. And sometimes that person is the person that you're with.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, it was my senior year. I met someone and he was older and we were together for a while. He didn't like really being around people. And I remember feeling like a bird, really, in a cage, like how a bird is locked up in a cage and you're not able to, it's just being caged up, feeling caged up. And I remember, that I wasn't being my true self. I would wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would make him feel better. Because I didn't want to hurt his feelings or because, and I remember feeling suffocated for so long. And finally, I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this and this is not healthy. And once I broke free from that relationship, everything in my life changed. Everything. And then I finally started to realize who I was. I started to get to know me. and started to live for me.
Would you have been able to wait? How long ago was this? Was this high school?
It was high school. It was junior year, senior year.
Now we've been together for a long time, but going on 15 years.
Yes. Dang.
Holy shit.
We old.
Yeah. Where is it at? But I need to pull it up.
I know.
But just try to imagine, like, if you were later, maybe in your 20s, right? In that relationship, could you just be yourself with being with somebody like that? Like at that point?
No, because he was jealous.
Because you said you felt like you were a bird in a cage, right?
Right.
But you've also learned to kind of be bubbly and outgoing and all that.
Right.
So if you were like, I'm just saying, because in high school, you probably wouldn't do that because you're still so young and figuring relationships out and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But in your 20s, you're kind of more yourself by then, you know? So could you be yourself being with somebody like that?
I would remove myself from the situation just because you don't know the type of person he was.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't abusive.
No,
mentally,
it was just
physically. It was just like he would make me feel bad about
being outgoing.
That is kind of mentally. Yeah, that is kind of mental. But once I had a taste of freedom, because he started
not even freedom, just being yourself.
Right. Well, that was being free.
Right.
That was freaking being free. I felt
true,
locked up
yeah.
within. It was so crazy, but I learned so much from him though. Like I learned so much from him.
Yeah.
You know, the good, the bad, all of it. I learned so much from him. But, you know, with the associations, sometimes it is the person that you're with. You know, and you have to have those hard, loving conversations, especially when you become an entrepreneur and you're doing, you know, you're out there marketing, you're out there doing the sale.
Yeah.
You know, but your associations, you know, sometimes it is the person you're with. And it's the hardest thing ever because you want this.
Yeah.
You want this.
Yep.
But feel that you can't have it because the person that you're with
like
is
you
not
said,
okay with you networking. They're not okay with you meeting with these business individuals. They're not okay with you.
Being with an entrepreneur or not, it shouldn't even be that. But yeah, for being with an entrepreneur, you have to, that's part of the deal.
And a lot of it comes from their insecurities. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them.
And like you're saying, being an entrepreneur, that might just be that it's who they are. It's not just like a career, I think. That's who somebody is. You know, and kind of like if you were to be with somebody who's a singer or a performer, part of the deal is that they're going to be meeting all kinds of people. A comedian or whatever. Like that's just part of the deal. And if you're with an entrepreneur, yeah, they meet other business owners. They go on lunch appointments. That's the deal. You know?
With you have always been supportive. You have never made me feel any other way but like you would motivate me. You would go do what you got to do. I never once had a problem with you blowing up my phone. You've always been that person to support.
Thanks, babe.
Like, go get him, babe. Even with the coaching business, like, you're going to be great. You're going to do, you know.
I'm excited.
You've always been my biggest cheerleader through it all. And I think that there in itself is what helped me to realize that's what got me to stop cheating, was because I have this loving, supportive man at home. Well, you were always supportive. And I knew you loved me, even when things were tough, even when things were rough. But you just always supported.
You've always supported me too, though. It wasn't just one way. There hasn't been anything that I've decided that I wanted to do that you've ever held me back on. You know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
I
how
was
it's
your
always
guppy
been.
when you were
When I
out there rapping.
yeah, when I wanted to do
We've done
when I wanted
so
to be a
many
rapper,
things.
you were
Miguel was
you were
writing
in the
music,
crowd. You
wearing
know?
your face on
You
my
were,
chest.
You were in the studio while we was, making hits. And when I wanted to go to school,
yeah.
and I needed to work late, or I needed to stay late to take classes and stuff like that, you were taking care of kids. When I signed up for tournaments, you're like, all right, well, we figure it out. Always. It's never like and when you talk about supporting you, like I think I've talked about it before. I might have my thoughts or opinions or whatever, but why? That's your decision to make. Like, I don't control you. I mean, we can talk about it, and why not? Like, if it's a good thing, like some things that may not be a good idea, I'll be like, maybe that's not a good idea. But something like coaching or like the shit that you want to do is good stuff. Like, why the fuck not? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. How do we get there for those that are maybe listening and have an unsupportive spouse or whatever?
This was not supposed to go this way. This could be like a fucking 4-hour podcast the way we're
could
going
be.
right now.
We have so much.
But we got to get into the ads. We're already 41 minutes in. And the ones that we were talking about at the beginning that we didn't completely get into, we got to get into those. One thing that we've talked about recently is like, dude, we've been this way since the beginning. Like you said, we had challenges from the beginning, and it's always been, let's fucking figure it out. Like you with the court stuff. One thing that we haven't really talked about a lot on this podcast is the court issue that I went through with my daughter and my ex, and all the, like, we don't really talk about any of that stuff, but just the court process itself. If you guys have ever gone through not a regular court case, but something fucking difficult, where Sonja, because she was a paralegal before, was taking care of most of it, like 99%, 97, 98% of all of it. And I would do the parts that I had to do. But it's like we were talking about, like trying to figure out a professional editing software from the beginning. Like you're looking shit up, looking up cases, looking up this, looking up that, trying to like doing research and getting subpoenas and looking and writing down questions. And like, it was just, but it's always been that way. For everything that we've ever done, you did the same thing when we had our nieces and nephews living with us, because you had to go to court stuff for that. We had home births. We had to go through all kinds of, like, we looked into, researched that, figured all that shit out. We rented our house. Like, we do all this shit ourselves. We figure it all out. It doesn't fucking stop.
That's crazy. You always think about, you forget about the hard times, the challenge, like you just do, because we have so many great times now that we forget about all the shit that we've gone through, man.
But even still, in the good times, there's a lot of shit to work out. There's always fucking work. There's always things happening. It doesn't stop. Like I've told you that. And that's the suffering in the Buddhism principle. It's the fucking,
yeah.
You better start embracing that shit.
Yes.
Because it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
I told Joey that just recently. Like he said something, like it was like we had just been getting done doing something, and then I was like, hey, guess what? We got to do something else. And he's like, ah. And I was like, I know exactly how you fucking feel. But guess what? This is life.
It is. But it's so beautiful too.
It is.
When you overcome those challenges and you do it together. Because I never had to do it alone. You never had to do it alone.
When you find that person.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It's cool.
And that's why it's like, I know, man, I don't know. How can you not believe in God? When you see everything that we've gone through how we met. I mean, when you look at the beginning of our relationship,
Yeah.
like we were made for each other. And everything that we've gone through has helped us get to where we are today.
That's
and we
true.
sit here in gratitude.
Yeah.
You know, because of what we've been able to beat.
Yeah. It is. It's pretty awesome. And I think that's a good point for us to get into. Make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go there, like I said before, you guys can watch the podcast there. You can listen to it there. You'll find all of our social media where you can follow us. Everything is at Opposite Pod on everything. Just our handle at Opposite Pod. And I think YouTube just started doing handles too. It's the same everywhere, on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere. So you can find us there. You can also contact us on our website if you click the contact the show or contact us button. And also there's a support the show tab. If you click on that, it'll take you to our Amazon link. Anything that you buy through Amazon doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out the show. And you can find our merch there. There's t-shirts, pop sockets, phone cases. Just search Opposites Attract Podcast, t-shirt, phone case, pop socket, and then you'll see it pop up. And you'll also see, when you click on that support the show tab, a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency. So if you are in the process of purchasing, selling, or refinancing your home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
Yep. And you can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com. And we're also affiliates with Pinwheel, which is the best smartphone available for kids. It has GPS tracking. It has text message logs, call logs. You have to approve all the contacts that go into the phone so you know exactly who your kids are talking to. Did I say it has GPS?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's important.
Yeah.
And also you get to choose all the apps that get put onto the phone. There's all kinds of other great stuff that if you guys want to know more, go to pinwheel.com. And if you want a discount, you can use promo code OAPTEN, all together, all in caps.
Yes, yes. And if you guys would like to buy us a coffee or an alcohol beverage, it's a virtual coffee or beverage. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/opposite pod.
And it's also just another way that you can support the show. And you can do it on a monthly basis there. So
nice.
it's, I mean, you know, like if you want to buy us a coffee on a monthly basis, you can do it there. $5, whatever you decide helps out the show. We appreciate it.
Yes, yes.
So before we get into anything else, there was something that you were saying. Like, I just kind of realized something that you were saying before a little while back. And we were talking about, like, you kind of made me realize that I've always just fucking, at some point when I make a decision, I fucking buckle down and do shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, I've done it since I was a kid. And a lot of times you feel, well, I think I said it, and I don't know what I was talking about. Maybe I have to go back and listen to it. But I was lazy. Yeah, we were talking about it. I was lazy. Mm-hmm. That's something that I felt my whole fucking life.
See, but is it that you're lazy, or is it that you're not passionate in what it is, or it's something that you don't want to do, therefore?
No. Because it's things that it's not things that I want to do. It's things that I know I should do.
Okay.
And I've just been that way my whole life, but eventually I buckle down and I just do it.
You fuck a button.
I fuck a button. I fuck a button.
Oh my God.
But you know what I mean? Yeah, that it's just always been that way.
Yeah.
But it's not lazy.
Right.
If you're always fucking doing it.
Yeah.
Like I'm always getting it done. It's just it's the discipline. The discipline of it. Mm-hmm. That's it's difficult for everybody.
So before you were even going to get into that, I was going to talk about, or just bring up, because we were talking about the relationship and the things that we do. And on YouTube, we had one of our listeners list a comment saying that like we sound like newlyweds. Like, right. We're past that. He said, we're past that already, but we'll check out more episodes.
We got him with the clickbait title.
Right?
They were listening to the Bill Burr clip.
Yeah, that's not clickbate.
We were talking. I'm just saying, but it is the title.
But it was cool because he left a comment like, "Oh, you guys are newlyweds. We're past that, but we'll
like,
check
for
out
me,
more of your episodes."
It's
But
like awesome.
and then we responded back like, "Thank you, but we've been married for 14 years, but it's good to have
It's
that
like
vibe.
it's like a
right?
compliment.
It's a compliment. No, for sure.
Thank you. You know what? I'm gonna send this to them.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
no,
listening.
it's definitely a compliment. And I feel that way, like with our attraction towards each other. It's still that new attraction.
Yeah, we still have fun.
And we need to talk about like, how do you keep that? I mean,
Yeah.
we've talked about it, in previous podcasts.
You want to add that to this
but
episode?
I think, no, but it's important for us, to
Well,
add
yes,
that.
we
Like,
do
how
need
do
to-
you keep that in the relationship?
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, there's something else that I kind of wanted to get into, and it kind of goes into the same thing, like the always feeling lazy, and we were talking about last week, and actually what you were just talking about, that Bill Burr episode, the whole reason that whole thing came up was because I was on a trip the week before.
Mm-hmm.
And that weekend we had stuff going on. I think we had a softball tournament that week. The week that I flew back from New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
The very next weekend, I think, was Halloween, right? And we're getting the house painted, and we have softball, and we have jiu-jitsu that we go to. So we're working softball, jiu-jitsu. The weekends are packed with softball tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's Halloween. Then this weekend comes around. Halloween was amazing. We still got to finish that. Then this weekend comes around, and this is like now my Friday off.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like, finally, I can fucking catch my breath.
Right.
But there was something that I listened to recently from Jocko, and Ian might like this. Ian and Kelly, one of some of our listeners that support the show. Shout out to Ian and Kelly. But he listens to Jocko, and that's an awesome podcast. But he was talking about how he had went to Iraq, and there was a house where they live in, like, they don't live the way we live, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And they had, over there, they have a place where when they go to the bathroom, I guess, like there's a hole in the side of the wall of the house, and it kind of leads to the outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll go there. But in this place, like, he went to this one house, and he just knew, like, he just couldn't understand why they had it the way they had it. And it was like where they cooked and set stuff up and where they ate, and right in the middle was like that hole, right? But they just never paid attention to like where, like, they were just oblivious to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's sometimes that, like, for us, this was my day off, and I wanted to take a fucking break, finally.
Right.
But we've got these pets.
Right.
Oh.
Go ahead.
We've got these pets. And they just freaking, lately, they're having
this is what
accident-
we have a kitten, and I'm in love with this kitten. He is my heart. Oh, he's so cute. I love him. And he's starting to try to get out of the doggy
house.
door. So
Right.
we ended up closing it. So now we got to take them out.
Yeah.
Us, the kids. You and I are very good about it. The kids are not. So guess what happens?
Yeah.
Dogs have accidents.
Yeah. So they've been tearing up these fucking carpets. And it's just fucking gross.
Yeah.
But it's like at a certain point, like, this is my fucking day off and I don't feel like doing anything. But there's shit that always needs to be done.
Right.
And what are you going to do? At a certain point, you just got to clean your shit up. And in our case, it's fucking literally.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you just got to clean the shit up.
Yeah.
So I had to rent the carpet cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
And on my day off and these weekend days, and when this podcast is over, I'm fucking firing that thing back up.
Right.
And there's still more work to do.
Right.
But that's just kind of like what we're talking about. The fucking
Getting her
Buddhism
done.
principle.
Right.
It's like just embrace that it's always going to be fucking something.
And during that, you're so sweet. You spoil the shit out of me.
You twist your ankle.
I'm outside taking down the
Yeah.
Halloween decorations on a ladder, and I'm just about down the ladder, and I take a wrong step, and there goes, and I've never sprained my ankle. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Because the gym, like, that's the first thing I think about. Yeah. Like, this is not stopping me from going to the gym. No. And I'm like, well, maybe it's just a little bruise, like nothing big, nothing, right? So then I get up, and then I have this shooting pain going up my leg. I'm like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
So I hobble my way into the house, and Miguel's upstairs. He can't hear shit.
Well, I'm cleaning carpet, so I got my headphones in. And you're yelling, and I'm like...
So now, I'm like up in bed, with my foot elevated, and Miguel is just spoiling the shit out of me. And he's doing all this work, and he's like, what do you need, babe? And he's just spoiling the shit out of me. So I'm like, damn, this really hurts, babe. Like this, I don't think I'm going to be good for like another 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, this ankle's not going to be good for a while.
Like, you're spoiling the shit out of me. But it feels better. But yeah. So there I am laid up in bed, and my poor husband's over there cleaning away. I appreciate you.
It's no problem, babe. That's what we do. Take care of each other.
Yeah.
Love you, babe.
Love you too.
You want to go do your thing real quick? I'll finish up here.
Ya está tiempo.
Almost.
Yeah. Like a minute or two.
No, like 4, 5. You good?
Yeah.
I was just going to talk about the light. We were talking to one of the neighbors, and we were saying how, like, this year, I think for Christmas, because we did the whole thing for Halloween, and for Christmas, they have a list of neighborhoods in the area or in Arizona or whatever where they put displays of lights, right?
Yeah.
All right. And with that, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share with the people that you know.
All right. So I drank a shitload before we started the podcast.
Yeah, a bunch of water.
And I got to go potty. And I'm like, come on, dude. It's already been an hour. Close to it. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
We always go like 20 minutes over. So
no, we don't.
No?
Well, we're not 20 minutes over.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, make sure you guys go to our website. I guess we'll tell you about the lights later.
Next episode.
Yeah, we can start with that.
Yeah, we can start with the light.
Because we still got till December for that.
That's right. All right. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your love and your support and all that good stuff.
And thank you for watching
Opposites Attract Podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.